Assalamu alaikum, brothers. Welcome to another Darun show. Let's get the show started with the best recitation ever by Sheikh Ahmad Amir Rahimullah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. من جاء بالحسنة فله عشر أمثالها ومن جاء بالسيئة فلا يجزى إلا مثلها وهم لا يظلمون. قل إنني هداني ربي إلى صراط مستقيم دينا قيما ملة إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين. قل إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين لا شريك له وبذلك أمرت وأنا أول المسلمين. قل إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين لا شريك له وبذلك أمرت وأنا أول المسلمين. قل أغير الله أبغي ربا وهو رب كل شيء ولا تكسب كل نفس إلا عليها ولا تزر وازرة وزر أخرى ثم إلى ربكم مرجعكم فينبئكم بما كنتم فيه تختلفون. وهو الذي جعلكم خلائف الأرض ورفع بعضكم فوق بعض درجات ليبلوكم فيما آتاكم إن ربك سريع العقاب وإنه لغفور رحيم. صدق الله العظيم.
Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Assalatu wassalam ala Rasulul Kareem. Amma ba'd. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to another Easy Darun Tashayya Fataya show with us, me, Captain Caveman, and
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is me, the Daroon Mac, Muhammad Abul Kalam.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Brother Abdul here. I've got my sound system here, only to keep my hair back, that's all.
Listen, Abdul, we're going to have to do this because we did it before we came on air. Take your head off.
No, I'm going to embarrass myself in front of everyone, you know.
Come on, bruv.
Oh, okay. All right.
Look
I've been trying to put my hair right. It's just unbelievable. I'm doing afro. I'm gonna stick to afro. Yeah, come on, brothers and sisters. Yeah, come on, get some haircut for me.
Abduba, you look like Wolverine.
You know what? Yeah, this is the longest hair I've had so far, and this lockdown's been quite interesting. It's going to be 2020. I mean, what are we going to remember 2020 as?
Remember your hair, bro. That's what we're going to remember.
Wow,
mashallah, it looks daroon, I must say. Brothers and sisters, just to let you know, next Sunday is the deadline if you did want us to shave our hair off. And as you can see, Abdul really, really needs it. But if you don't want us to do that, you won't obviously hit the target, which is fine because actually some of us don't really want to do it. So anyway, the place to give your donation, I'll post the link, or we'll get someone to post the link on the comment section at some stage, inshallah, as we go along. Anyway, how have you been? It's been a week. Half of Ramadan has already gone. And, we only got half left. What you been up to? So for me, today was a very daroon day. You know why?
Tell us.
I had my lamb chops today, bro.
Oh, lamb chops.
Mashallah. Hey, mashallah.
Chop, mashallah. Yeah.
That's it.
Kalam, why?
It's fine.
Kalam, why is your hair not growing for? What are you doing to your hair for it to not?
No, it's growing. It's just I just combed it before I come on. It's proper. It's coming out of my ears. It's tickling my back. Yeah, now it's growing. It's growing up, Dubai.
I don't know what's wrong with my hair, because it's electrified. It just goes all over the place. It's like I'll post one photograph. I went cycling and the hair was like afro. People found me strange, like with an afro, like going up there like that. It's just I can't control it.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. It's looking good though. It looks nice in grey. Your name suits you, to be honest.
Professor Grey with the grey hair is
alhamdulillah.
Perfect. Okay, so brothers and sisters, usually do put your messages on there, and of course we're looking forward to some calls as well. Kalam, do you want to do the honors?
Yes, of course. The number is 0203-1234507. Let's get you calling in and speaking to us, inshallah. And of course, you can comment on the group there. I think at the beginning, Nasima is saying, "I can hear you all talk." So that was a little bit of a worry there.
We all going, what's going on?
Yeah, and Saleh is giving salams. Alhamdulillah, welcome to the show. Umara is saying assalamu alaikum and peace be upon you all. And Saleh Ahmed is saying, this is Rahi from Brady Street. I am Shah's brother. Just for your information.
MashaAllah. Well done, Rahi. Share the link and spread the word. What's the phone number, bro?
Yeah, 0208 1234 507.
0208-1234507. We want to hear you. We want to hear what you've been up to. So how has it been, brothers? Today was a scorching day, I must say. It felt like summer today properly. The first time I've actually felt thirsty.
And it's another Jummah where the masjids are closed and we're not doing our Salatul Jummah. It's sad, isn't it? But I hope people don't get used to this, because there might be a need when we actually get out of this lockdown to like get the sticks out and beat the men out of their homes for Jummah, isn't it? Imagine
You will. I don't think you will. I think, you know what, subhanAllah, I think there's a lot of people that are missing the masajid. And I think, once this lockdown is over, then people will go back to it. But, let's just talk about this lockdown being over. I'm hearing that the government's going to probably relax the lockdown from Monday onwards. What they're going to do, allow some people to go to school and things like that?
Well, apparently Wales is gonna relax it, so they're gonna allow more than one time a day you can go out and do exercise. This is what gets me. Like this nation is a nation of exercise. It's like bloody. Oh no, we need to
exercise in my life, man.
They've never exercised in their life. They're into their bacon and eggs rather than their crisscross and jump and hop skip, whatever you call it. And it's all of a sudden they're desperate for exercise. There's a petition going out there, allow us to exercise more. I mean, what's going on? You know what I mean?
Never thought we'd see the day. The world's obese nation, top of the league.
But this country is fantastic. Yeah, there's a lot of people like the English culture. The English sensibility is really quite cool. So what does America do? The Americans, they get their guns out. They take over the administrative buildings, because they want to force like a breaking of the lockdown. Whereas the British people, they're gonna do a little gathering Hyde Park. they're gonna do like.
When are they going to do these gathering in Hyde Park?
And they're going to queue up orderly as well.
They're going to queue orderly and allow the police to separate them for 2 meters, but they want to like demonstrate. They want to like resist this lockdown. They think it's pointless. They think that it's infringing on their human rights, so on and so forth. The lockdown bill, all of that stuff, which is, I think it's dangerous. I think it's dangerous. We spoke about this last week about the fact that there could be a second surge in the virus.
It's not could be. It's not could be. Most of the medical experts are saying there's a very, very likely possibility that speech is going to happen because people are going to have to come out. They're going to have to go back to work. They're going to have to interact, and obviously those people who haven't caught the virus yet are going to be exposed to the virus, and obviously that may result to people being hospitalized. And that I think the fundamental aim was to basically for the NHS to be able to cope and manage with the volume of people coming in. And they're still hesitant now because they're thinking if they do relax it completely, then it's going to take the surge up again, and then the NHS is not going to be able to kind of look after it. But you know what? I mean, me personally, I still think people should take it seriously.
Somebody posted on social media that the easing of the lockdown doesn't mean that we've got control of this virus. It simply means there are ICU beds available for you. And that's the way to look at it.
That's what it means. Let's read some messages, Kalam.
Of course. So we've got Mohammed Imdad saying, relaxed lockdown only means they have more beds available in ICU. The death toll is still 500 plus. Sabs Hock is asking, Salam brothers, what will be the first thing you will be doing when lockdown is over? I know the mosque is number one, but what else? Okay. And Timothy James is saying, first of all, he said, guys, you're looking good. So, mashallah. Say mashallah, Timothy. Mashallah. You know what I mean? Deaths are still, touch wood, mashallah. Deaths are still 100.
Touch wood,
That's the biggest piece of wood there, isn't it, Abdul?
I know.
He's saying deaths are still above 500 plus according to the government.
That's right.
People open your eyes, please. We need to beat this propaganda.
Definitely.
Well, you know what? My take is a little bit different on this because I'm still going to encourage people to self-isolate, maintain a distance as much as possible, minimize contact with people, especially because we've got a lot of elderly people around us. Yeah, and we shouldn't be actually going out there and then catching it and then passing it on to vulnerable people and that. Yeah, I'm still very, very, very concerned about relaxing this and everyone getting it and then. And for the NHS just to manage it and that. Yeah, I mean, our brothers and sisters out there willing to take the risk. I mean,
Good point. Listen, before we kind of delve into anything topical, so we haven't played our kind of signature nasheed because we've changed the format a little bit because it's been online. So a lot of people asked for it last week, and we didn't have it ready, but it is ready this week, and I think. Now is the time to play it and really get into the mood. So, brothers and sisters, the most Daroon shows, most Daroon Nasheed is now hitting your screen right now.
الأرض والشطآن والبحر الأرض والشطآن والبحر في غزة الشماء تستعير والشعب يمضي للمنى قدما والشعب يمضي للمنى قدما والحور في الجنات تنتظر. الأرض والشطآن والبحر في غزة الشماء تستعير والشعب يمضي للمنى قدما والحور في الجنات تنتظر والحور في الجنات تنتظر. الأرض والشطآن والبحر في غزة الشماء تستعير والشعب يمضي للمنى قدما والحور في الجنات تنتظر والحور في الجنات تنتظر. والطفل يرسي في العلا مجدا ومجدهم يهوي ويندثر. والطفل يرسي في العلا مجدا ومجدهم يهوي ويندثر. لا تعجبوا فالطفل معجزة لا تعجبوا أطفالنا كبروا لا تعجبوا أطفالنا كبروا. الأرض والشطآن والبحر في غزة الشماء تستعير والشعب يمضي للمنى قدما والحور في الجنات تنتظر والحور في الجنات تنتظر. والقدس صاحت من مادنها هلا عدت الفتح يا عمر. والقدس صاحت من مادنها هلا عدت الفتح يا عمر. والمسجد الأقصى وحرمته قد داسها السفاك والقذر قد داسها السفاك والقذر. الأرض والشطآن والبحر في غزة الشماء تستعير والشعب يمضي للمنى قدما والحور في الجنات تنتظر والحور في الجنات تنتظر. كنتم بنفح الله علما لما ابتعدتم داسكم كفر. كنتم بنفح الله علما لما ابتعدتم داسكم كفر. عودوا إلى الماضي وعزته عودوا ففي أحشائه عبروا عودوا ففي أحشائه عبروا. الأرض والشطآن والبحر في غزة الشماء تستعير والشعب يمضي للمنى قدما والحور في الجنات تنتظر والحور في الجنات تنتظر. ثوروا ورووا الأرض أنوارا نحن الدجى وأنتم القمر. ثوروا ورووا الأرض أنوارا نحن الدجى وأنتم القمر. أنتم صفاء النفس فانتفضوا لا يثنكم عن دربكم كدر لا يثنكم عن دربكم كدر. الأرض والشطآن والبحر في غزة الشماء تستعير والشعب يمضي للمنى قدما والحور في الجنات تنتظر والحور في الجنات تنتظر. هل يذكر التاريخ أنكم بعثتم المجد فيفتخروا؟ هل يذكر التاريخ أنكم بعثتم المجد فيفتخروا؟ وهل نرى الأعلام خافقة فوق الربا والدمع ينحسر فوق الربا والدمع ينحسر الأرض والشطآن والبحر في غزة الشماء تستعر والشعب يمضي للمنى قدما والحور في الجنات تنتظر والحور في الجنات تنتظر والحور في الجنات تنتظر والحور في الجنات تنتظر.
Alaikum, brothers. Welcome back. Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties, but that's what makes this close to Darun. Some of you will remember our technician and tech man, and you know the old saying. What was that saying? You know, if you give something, you get monkeys. What is it, Kala?
Give peanuts and
Yeah.
you get monkeys, but obviously we're not gonna do a mahi here. Yeah, we're gonna keep it nice and clean and like we're gonna keep it above board. Yeah,
Yeah.
please everyone. Listen,
Dates.
yeah, Professor, this is advice to you from Karen. A little gel will tame your hair. She's saying. Yeah, and Rubel Ali is saying, I like this bit about the nasheed. So he's saying, I like this bit. Tatiru. Yeah, I'm not sure that's exactly the words there,
right,
Rubel, but yeah.
Okay.
I like the tatty-two bit as well, that's my favorite bit as well. Mustafa is saying, does this show have a quiz? I'm here to win the quiz. And Umara is saying, I'm eating yogurt. The Darun show is like a family. We have Mavis Zahid joining us, and he's saying, salam guys. And Khalid Rahman is saying, peace be upon you all, Darun show presenters and viewers. So, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah khair, everyone. Okay, so, if you've got anything you want to talk about, let us know. But let's answer the question that Sabs asked us earlier. What is the first thing, Abdul, that you're going to do? Other than going to the masjid, we've already established that's going to happen anyway. But other than that, if lockdown is removed, complete removal, what is the first thing you're going to do?
Oh, you know what? That's a difficult one. I've been institutionalized at home. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. It feels kind of surreal at the moment. It's like maybe like coming out of prison, innit? I mean, like, maybe go and see your family straight away. Maybe have a family reunion, like everyone get together. That'd be something nice. And after that, I'm missing my martial arts. Yeah, I'm missing all my students in that. Yeah, so I can't wait to go back and start training myself. So that's one of the key things I'm looking forward to. So hopefully the club will open up again, all our students come back, and we start training. But I doubt it because the way information is being coming in drips and drabs. I think the kind of like the situation is going to be there for a long time. Only thing's going to happen is there's going to be some easing. You're still not going to be able to meet in greater numbers. And I mean, today I got a message from a brother. He's saying, "Oh, Abdubai, can we not go and train in the park?" And I did put that as a proposal. Let's go in the training park. But then I'm thinking, well, I'm going to get arrested because if I'm initiating training in the park with a group of people, and that might that might go contrary to the government's rules and regulations, However, there are loads of people out in the park training. Today cycling I witnessed, and me and my friends was thinking, well, hold on, there's no lockdown in the UK. Everyone's having a picnic. Everyone's out and about. Everyone's basically in their mind.
Today was finished. You know the gut, right? Everyone from East London knows the gut. The famous
gut.
Yeah. Today there was about 12 to 15 of them playing football in the gut. Now, who do you think these guys were? Do you think they were big bullies?
Nah, Europeans, Romanians.
Exactly, they were mainly Europeans.
The Europeans don't understand.
I was shocked for two reasons. One is, there's a pandemic going on and everyone's dying. Like we're already on 30,000 deaths in this country, right? And then this breakdown of complete social distancing, right? Where they're shouting, screaming, spitting at each other and everything else, passing the disease from a no man's business. And the second thing is they're all white in this area. I was like, what's going on here? Two shocks in one go.
Gentrification.
I think people just been waiting around for some kind of indicators for them to go back up again, go out again. I mean, today there was loads of people. It's just people like sunbathing, sitting around. You know, obviously the police still come and they try and move people on and that. Yeah, you know, it ain't going to get through to some people. Believe me, some people think they're immune. You know,
no, but the point is, if the if one of the so you know the government's got a scientific team, isn't it? They've got a scientific team that are advising them, telling them like you know, telling them what to tell, you know, what's the communication that we need to give to the country, and the communication is, the messaging is, we need to observe this lockdown, we need to stay at home, we must practice social distancing. One of the bloody scientists gone and invited his girlfriend to come over, and like he's defied the advice he's giving.
But that's not strictly true. That's not strictly true.
He had to resign for it. He left the job.
No, he didn't. He wasn't a part of that narrative. What he developed a model that showed what the impact was going to be, which was contrary to the government's line of herd immunity. And what you had, the Daily Mail, you know, the Nazi supporting Daily Mail, right? You know, you had them and the Sun and everything else do a smear job on him. Like, yes, the guy shouldn't have broken the laws and everything else, but it's a total distraction. And we've got to be mindful of that. We've been saying that many times. We've got to be mindful. Okay, so Abdul, you know, he's saying like, you know, he's going to go out and basically, you know, maybe visit family and maybe start martial arts. What are you going to do, Kala?
Me, yeah, definitely. I'm definitely going to go see my mum, man. Go see her, like, and just give her a little hug and whatnot, kiss on the forehead. I miss my mum like no man's business. And like last week I went to see her because she's very old and she's quite she's in those vulnerable groups. She's got a bit of dementia as well, so she forgets. So she gives it. Why don't you come in? Come in. Where are the kids? Bring the kids over. I'm like, yeah, mum, we'll bring them over.
Yeah. Mate, it is hard. I can imagine. It must be hard. Yeah.
And I'm gonna go to see my dad's. I'm gonna go visit my dad's grave because I've actually been quite strict with the social. I've stayed home. I've only gone out for work purposes a couple of times. Otherwise, I've been really, really good. Stayed at home.
Look, Kalam, what you can do, if you really want to do some exercise and you want to avoid making contact with people, just come cycling with me. Yeah, keep 3 meters distance. You go on the road.
I went cycling the other night. I've done 2 nights so far.
Oh, mashallah, very good.
Around 11:30 midnight, I go out cycling.
Let's listen, guys. Let's defy the government. Yeah, let's be the rebels.
Are defying the government, and we're gonna stay home.
No. Let us organize. No. Let us. Oh my God, I've just got a wicked idea. Yeah. Let us organize a bike ride.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do it. Come on.
The funny thing is, like, I had organised one for cage ride.
Well, let's do it. Let's just do it.
You know what? That's exactly what the government wants. The government wants us to come out and get the coronavirus disease. They are pushing.
No, but if we observe the 2 meter rule and we go in.
Let me just explain. Yeah, cycling is much better than running. I'll tell you why. Because when I've been to some of the places and I've seen the runners. Yeah, there's congestion. It's like the tube station. Like they're all on the same canal track. They're all on the same. And they're all running, and it's like there's no social distancing because they think there is. And the difference I found with cycling is that like. You're quickly zooming through. You're not on that spot for more than not even a second. So even if there are people who are able to spread it, you're not there long enough to be able to catch it. So I prefer cycling more than running because even if you go for a walk in the park, there's loads of people walking in the park, and you're always going to bump into people.
Who's up for it, man? Are the listeners and the viewers up for this? You seem a bit scared, man.
Let's hear some of the messages, Kalam.
Azazbai's a bit scared. He don't want to get the corona.
I'm up for cycling anyway.
Okay, so we've got messages. Yeah, you want messages, don't you? What do you make of MBS becoming owner of Newcastle? Asks Muhammad Imdad. Is it time to become a tune? And Mavis Zahid is saying, any advice on how to motivate people to donate to Cage? And I'd add other charitable causes there. Sabs is saying haircut would one of the first things be a haircut? Well, it would be if you guys don't give the money to cut it live on air. We'll go and cut our hair. Khalid Rahman is saying, I love how Easy Talk is an enjoyable, entertaining show with a serious edge. Serious? What serious edge?
Oh yeah. Well, I've got a topic afterwards after Kalam is finished.
Timothy is saying, yeah, go on. Sorry, shall I read a couple more?
Yeah,
read some more.
Timothy said, visit parents and ask for their forgiveness just in general. This has been an eye-opener. Life without them is unimaginable, yet we can't escape death, so we have to go. Serious. What do you make of the Queen's speech? Umara is asking. I didn't watch it. I don't know what she said.
I don't know what she said. Tell us what she said. What was her points? You know what I mean? I don't watch Boris Johnson and the press conferences every day. I don't watch what the Queen has to say. It's like, you're just asking to be. It's like, I don't know. It's like going into some mind control.
I gotta say, I like the Queen. I really, really like the Queen. I do. I don't know. Is that a sin? I don't know if it's. But I got a soft spot for Lizzie, man. I think she's lovely.
Yeah, me too.
She's the grandmother I never had.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So Musa is saying, does that mean the Darun show will be running throughout lockdown? And then Sabzi is saying she saw 8 European guys hanging around drinking in East London and the police just drove past and did absolutely nothing. And Ali Spartan is on saying, I haven't watched since the beginning of Ramadan. Good to see that the show is doing well. And Abdul Alim is saying runners are jokers. They are not paying attention. The other day, to avoid people, a runner nearly walked into my car while I was driving.
yeah, they got the earplugs on, and it's even more dangerous. You know. But anyway.
No. I think. Look, Musa, we are going to carry on, inshallah, throughout the lockdown. Yeah, right, guys. Don't just say that for myself.
So the Queen apparently said. She said, the street, the Queen would like to declare that the street is filled with love from people. Philip, get out of the car. You're not allowed to drive. Okay. Apparently that's what she said, the Queen. The street is filled with people. Oops, that's against messaging. Queen, cut. Off with his head. What's he saying? Cut off with his head, I tell you.
You know what? I closed my eyes and it sounded like, the Queen.
Yeah, no. Like I said, I got a soft spot for the Queen, innit?
Anyway, I've got a question for all our viewers out there. Yeah, how many of our viewers watch any of the channels that is fundraising at the moment? Yeah, and if you do watch them, do you watch them like more than an hour, 2 hour? And what is so sporty about watching other people giving money? Because I received a complaint today from a brother. He phoned me up and in a discussion said, Abdul, why is it that every time we put the TV on to watch something to learn about the deen or something like that, all the TV channels, they're just fundraising. There's no material that's coming out that's, a bit of nafsiyah, a bit of, tafsir or something like that, especially at their prime peak times. And I said to him, look, well, obviously they've got to make the money. But then, the discussion was, well, they can. If they allocated different evenings for fundraising and had some evenings at least for basically like for more educational, for more informative or discussions and that, then the British Muslims could actually benefit. But if you just put on the TV, look at every single channel, there's fundraising, and the brother's saying, well, I haven't got nothing against fundraising, but surely it could be allocated in such a way that there are more educational material as well. Is that responsibility on those people, on the charities, or is the responsibility on the TV channels who are actually jamming the stations up and boring everyone to death? And do people feel that watching other people giving money is like quite entertaining?
It's not watching people give other money, but it's the. So this is what it is. Okay, we've got the next caller. Assalamu alaikum, caller. Hey. I'm not television over. Volume, caller, please put the volume down. Hello, can you hear? I want to give £10. Oh, bloody £10. We want £100, not £10. Oh. Alhamdulillah, thank you for your £10. Say takbir. Allah Akbar. No, you say takbir. Allah, no, you say takbir. That's the entertainment value. I love it. I can't get enough of it. And I have to declare my interest. I'm one of the charity people.
No, but how often do you go? I mean, it's not that like you're there every day.
But every charity. Listen, I think there's two things here. One is there is a feeling that there's an overkill. Yeah, there definitely is a feeling. But I think also there needs to be a balance because look, in this month, as Muslims, right, we are in this country the biggest charity giving community is the Muslim community by far.
£35 a second in Ramadan. £35 every
over
second.
100 million in 30 days. That's how much the Muslim community gives in charity, and that's not something to be taken lightly. So, Alhamdulillah, Allah has blessed us with a big heart and a giving heart, and our sadaqah and everything else is really good. So I think that needs to be facilitated, and that's why. And in Ramadan, we all know, look, all of our deeds are multiplied by even more than they are normally. And a lot of people, they give their zakat in Ramadan, and of course, giving sadaqah in Ramadan is, of course, the best time, because it's not just about fasting, it's not just about praying, it's not just about tilawah, it's also about giving as well. So I think it's about that balance. Now, if a television program or television channel like that broadcasts, say, for 24 hours, if it saves like 7 hours for fundraising and the rest of the hours, say like 18 hours, or 16 hours, whatever it is, right? 17 hours actually, what it saves for other types.
It's 24 hours in a day, just for your information.
I'm getting carried away, right? Other sorts of programming, then it's fair enough. I think it's a balance, right? And I think that's what many of the channels do. But look, we shouldn't belittle the idea of giving. This is a very bad trend. I know there's a lot of problems people are highlighting with charities, with all of these things. There's problems, brothers and sisters, in everything in life. But we should not belittle one of the most important aspects of our deen, which is giving sadaqah. So going back to your question about what's entertaining and everything else, sometimes, look, like many of us, right, we give, or we're thinking of giving or not. When we're watching these programs, we do get motivated.
Of course.
And we also learn, what do you think these guys talk about all the time? They don't just say, I know Kalam was just joking. They don't just say, hello, I'm in television,
But I'm glad they do. I'm so glad they do.
It's not about that, right? Or it's not about the commentator. Most of the time, they're talking about, things that are happening in the Muslim world. So giving you news about, say, Syria, say Yemen, say in like Rohingya in Bangladesh. It could be anywhere, or even here in the UK, things that are happening. Second thing is, they're also giving you understanding from the Quran and Sunnah. You're hearing many, many verses. You're hearing many, many verses. You're hearing stories of the Sahaba. You're hearing so much deen as well. So we need to understand there is an educational part of this. Of course, if it's not, that's very different.
Totally agree, and I'm sure the brother didn't mean to kind of undermine the spirit
he's
of
a
charity.
Scrooge. He's a Scrooge.
No. But a lot of people do feel that. What they're saying is, look, you don't got 7 days here, right? You said 24 hours in a day. In a week, there's 7 days, yeah. So at least you can allocate 4 days for fundraising, get some good charities on there, and you'll get all that what Brother Azad said. But the other 3 days, there should be some more,
But why does it have to be like that? Why does it have to be in days? Why can't it be in hours? Because look, it doesn't make sense. Television is one thing, and radio and other things is
radio is different. Yeah.
Right. Every television channel, Muslim television channel, right? There is an expectation from its audience. There's an expectation from the channel. There's an expectation for those that are raising money that they will have an opportunity to go and ask the viewers to donate to their cause. There are thousands and thousands of charities and causes to donate. So the television channels, what they're doing is trying to give as many people an opportunity as possible by having one collection each day. Now, like I said, as long as it's not going beyond. Look, at the moment, this year is very different. There's no Taraweeh or anything else. So there is a lot of time that people are at home. Now, what would people be doing at home? They're either doing Taraweeh, they're either reading Quran, or they're online, just reading on Facebook or Insta, whatever it is, Twitter, or they're watching a film, or they're going to be watching these programs, or they're actually sign up to some webinars and things like that, to learn about the deen or about that kind of stuff.
Okay,
So-
let me read some text messages, Azabai. Sorry to interrupt you, because
Yeah.
a lot this is a lot of people are commenting. So Abdul Alim is saying it's all about sponsorship money for the channels, and I think Mavis Zahid is agreeing about the entertainment value of these charitable event programs as well. And he's saying it's the channels. It's the channels. Charities are taking the opportunity because the channels are giving it to them. No blame on the charities. Khalid Rahman is saying we need to combine charity with dawah. They seem separate, but I think if you think about what Azadbai said, there seems to be a good gelling of dawah, information, knowledge, as well as being able to execute that responsibility of sadaqah and zakah. Muhammad Imdad is saying with all the donations, it is high time for us to become more conscious donors in light of the recent piece written by Shazad Yunus. So there's a piece written by Shazad Yunus that 5 Pillars has published, which talks about more transparency and accountability of these charities. And so that's the reference to that. Umar is saying, I think people should look into those organizations and charities supporting and doing the work to help and defend the Muslim community, like Islamophobia, freeing the prisoners. That's true, but the work isn't restricted to Islamophobia and freeing the prisoners. It's about the international causes and stuff as well. Khaled is,
yeah, go on. Sorry, finish.
Khaled is saying we need to be more organized. We need to understand the system and then donate accordingly. And Simon's saying, but there's so many about, why is it every night? She's probably answering saying there's so many charities that there aren't enough time. Ramadan is the prime time for charities. I'll tell you, in Ramadan, charities make at least 45 to 50% of their annual income. So really, it is the month where they have to push it and reach the donors in as many ways as possible. So charities would love to have screen time to be able to reach donors.
But just come on that point, yeah.
Before, sorry, Abdul. Look, one of the things we're trying to do as part of this show is also become Muslims, Darul Muslims, and kind of really understand the essence of our deen, right? What do I mean by this? When I hear these conversations about charities, about fundraising and everything else, one of the things I detect sometimes, not in anything anyone has said today, but I sometimes detect miserliness. I sometimes detect jealousy. I sometimes detect, things that are unbecoming. Yeah. Like one of the ways, how do you know if you are on the right path? How do you know if your iman is blossomed or not, right? Is that you have the capacity not only to give charity from whatever Allah has given you. Remember, everything that we have is not something that we've earned. It's Allah has given it to us. Okay, it's His in the first place, and He's asking for it alone. Can you imagine that? Someone gives you the money, right? Someone gives you £100 and says, "Do you mind loaning? Give me a loan, and I'll reward you more." Just think about that, brothers and sisters. So that's the first thing. So we need to be in a position where we see all of these charities, all of these requests, all of these causes, and people asking, and we feel good, we feel happy, and we try to facilitate. It's not that, oh, you know what, I'm not going to share this charity's link because I'm going to lose out on anything else. No, the qadr, the rizq for what you're going to get is already written. But imagine we become an ummah where we share the needs of every single person. And in our hearts, we have nothing but love for the other person's work as well. That would be a very good sign that, our iman is on point. And this is really what we need to work towards. So I think, in this Ramadan, brothers and sisters, you are seeing many, many things, but try to, I'm not saying let the things that aren't working properly in charity and everything else, transparency. I'm not saying don't do all of that, do all of that, but then stay on the positive as well. Still encourage people to give, because the work we can do is move away from this and become, look at, secular world and how they are dealing with things. They give charity and things like that, but they don't give it because they're looking for reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They just give.
The other thing about charity that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "As-sadaqatu burhan," that the charity is proof. So it's a proof that we still have iman. So the fact that the ummah come forward and happily give. I mean, I sit there and I listen to the elderly. I actually received £6,000 today from an elderly woman. and this woman is a convert, and she's Amazonian. She's from the Amazon jungle. Right, she was telling me, and I don't think she's listening, but she's so humble, mashallah, such a beautiful heart. She was telling me we used to eat monkeys. We used to have organic marijuana. We used to wear no clothes, and they were like, the Amazonian people.
Yeah.
She was like that, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave her hidayah. She became a Muslim. She's in her 60s, I reckon, maybe more, and she's wearing the hijab now. She's got children. Now, what she was telling me is that, look, Muhammad, I'm not rich. I don't have money. I actually survive off my income support. Yeah, but I don't spend my money. I don't waste my money. You never see me go out and eat flash restaurants. I don't spend £5 on a meal, and I save my money. And when I save it for Ramadan, so that I can give to the charities, and I can give to every charity every single night. Yeah,
Wow.
and so this, and it's just amazing. So sadaqah.
These are the stories, and this is the role model. Subhanallah.
Exactly.
Sorry, I disturbed you.
Oh, me? No, don't worry. I mean, alhamdulillah, it's good that we need to kind of like get those perspectives across. It's just the people who are actually raising some of these issues, they're not raising it because they're against the spirit of charity. They want to kind of like improve the way the TVs are managing the programs. Yeah. So it's good. If you look at the charity giving, 5 o'clock to Fajr, okay? So from 5 o'clock to Fajr, that's when all the charity organizations, they go onto these TV channels and they do that round, yeah? So what people are saying, that's fine. We want to see those charities, and the good quality charities will obviously be able to get on those kind of platforms. So if you look at all the TV channels, you will see there is different qualities, yeah? So if you look at Islam channel, you will see all the top best charity organizations, with the biggest setup to get the opportunity. They got more money they can spend, they can go on there as well. And mashallah, even within the ethnic kind of like TV channels, you're getting very, very good, like Abul Kalam. I saw you when you were doing your fundraiser as well. And it's good, when you see good quality charity organization with good presentation and they're informing you, people like that. But what some people are saying is that, look, we need all that, but we also need the dawah coming. So in the evenings, if there is a nasiyah, if a scholar could be saying something, even if there was a gap 1 hour, and some people could listen to, and that's what they're saying. Basically, they're saying, look, is there any way that
that's a fair point. But I think again, all right, that's a fair point. Kalam, let's do some message.
Let's do some messages, inshallah. So some Umar is saying, Mend, I'd recommend giving to Mend this Ramadan. Sabs Hock is saying, slightly change of subject, VE Day today. Any thoughts? I taught my sons some history and about the World War II. It was actually really fascinating realization and being grateful the dangers of war and why it's so important to fight for freedom. And Mujibu is saying about the parents and all of that stuff. Some people, as someone who does not have either of his parents, you realize some things more, i.e. their prayers, their sincere prayers. Also, just listening to them, being in their presence, their ibadah, how easy going they were, and the hasanat that they had. Once they are gone, the opportunity disappears. SubhanAllah, it's so true. Simon's agreeing with you about being grateful to be able to give and to be charitable. And Abdullah Mamoon is saying we need to support each other, support the charities. And Mujibu is saying as a community, we should also be building more institutions to help with all the community issues, both short-term and long-term things. The previous generation did a lot with their limited resources. They built the first mosques and the madrasas. What are we doing? What institutions, and how are we responding to the challenges of our time? And Timothy James is saying the handsome fella on the right looks mixed race. It's nice to see you guys have presenters from different races. The handsome fella on the right looks mixed race. I think that's you, Azad, right? You mixed race, mate.
No, you're handsome, bro. I'm just.
I know, but I'm not on the right.
Listen, you know what? Just before all that, when the VE Day thing, like Muhammad Imdad has busted me, right? He's saying, "Third mate, did you just do it?" No, I just got confused, brother. So I wasn't sure because look, it's the right way. Sure. Is it this way or that way, Kalam?
No.
It's definitely V for victory. V for victory.
Yeah, that's right.
But that's a V as well, right?
No, it's not.
No. That's a or you. Or you sling your rook. That's a sling your rook. And Khalid Rahman is saying we need Muslim think tanks. I think we need like army tanks, to be absolutely honest. But yeah,
You know what? Listen, about the VE Day thing, I think, like the poppy thing, I just find all of these things institutionalized racism and colonialism and all of that nonsense. And I think people who fall into this trap are just, I feel sorry for them. You'd never come out of it, okay? If you look at it, right, the point of, like, if you had a war, like, someone mentioned, I think, Bosnia.
Callum, he's anti-British, isn't he?
Hey, Abdul, what's this fella doing in our country, eh?
Yeah, I don't know.
He sleeps here, he takes from our electricity,
That's right.
and he's slagging the country off.
Yeah, and he acts like he's one of us as well, and then, and then he throws his, 10 pence in every time.
Just Colour, his grandmother is from Germany. You're a German supporter, bruv.
I love my Lizzie. Don't go there.
Yeah.
Don't you say anything about Lizzie.
Yeah, German. That's it, right? It's German. But
I can agree, though. I gotta say, yeah.
What's the lessons that you learned from VE Day?
Exactly. I mean,
What are the lessons? Like,
Well, you know what? You stop Hitler. Come on, if Hitler won,
you stopped Hitler, right? Okay,
Yeah.
what was Hitler doing? What he was doing was what? He was killing loads of people, innocent
barbaric.
people. By doing what? By doing what?
Taking over.
By gassing them and
No,
bombing. What
how
we're
he
doing,
did it, but
we're
how
watching the
did
Syrian
he-
regime do the same to its people, and we're not stopping them. So let's not sit on our high. Absolutely, it's so frustrating that we can sit on our pompous high horse and lecture the world about being ethical and about being merciful when we turn blind eye to genocide and murder and exploitation and only intervene when we feel our
when there's a benefit.
exactly.
When there's a benefit. One thing about Trump, the guy is obviously off his, trolley, right? Complete, right? But he just says it as it is. He says, "Oh, I'm not going to intervene here. There's no oil in there for us."
Yeah.
We all know this, right? So this false, lie, hypocritical thing about, taking lessons. What lessons have you taken? The way the Jews were demonized. Who's demonized like that now? It's the Muslims. Right? So where's the lessons that you've learned? You've not learned a single lesson. And then you have newspapers like the Daily Mail. Do you know the Daily Mail was a very staunch supporter of Hitler? Right? And it hasn't changed now much. It still supports a lot of fascists and things like that. So where is the lessons learned? So we, like sheep, right? We just, VE Day, let's do this and, let's wear a poppy and all that. No. You brothers and sisters, don't fall for this nonsense, right? Ask these people who ask you to participate in these things. Show me how you've learned the lesson. That school that is doing a VE Day thing or whatever, show me in that school how they have ensured that people do not get treated like that, so then they end up being killed. How have they done that? Where is it in their policies? How are they being inclusive? How are they treating every single pupil equal in their school? This if you can show me this, then there's some positivity. But going back to romanticizing, what Churchill did and etc., allow it.
But there are some good films you can watch. Good movies like D-Day movie, The Invasion.
Pearl Harbor. I know it's got nothing to do with it.
Pearl Harbor. Yeah, it's
Clint Eastwood, Forrest Gump. These are all good VE Day videos to watch.
There's loads out there. Yeah.
How did we get to watch?
No, my thing is we can look back with nostalgia about the sacrifices and all of that stuff and that people have made historically, but really right now a lot of people are making huge amount of sacrifices, like the Afro-Caribbean community, the black community in the UK.
Subhanallah. Sorry, Kalam. Did you see what happened in America recently?
Yeah.
That
the killing of
So that this Afro-Caribbean or a black brother in America basically was jogging, gets chased by two white father and son, white men, and gets shot to death, and they don't do nothing about it. they've arrested them now and been charged with murder, but that was after a huge outcry. But look at that normalization there of this, and this is what happens, through these programs like VE Day and all of this stuff. We just get sucked into this nonsense, right? And that allows that kind of oppression. How is that possible? How is it possible in the 21st century that two people can murder a guy?
Are we getting any calls in?
From the public?
No, that there are not calls. I think they're like some other things. So Sabs, who asked the initial question or made the initial discussion start, she's saying they stopped Hitler from taking over the world. Those who, millions of people died. UK and America, few other nations came together, fought as allies to prevent a catastrophe. Lessons learned is that war does not solve problems. But is it a lesson learned if, we are, our country, we've instigated or participated in many wars thereafter, and we've allowed for other wars to happen without intervention, without...
Look at Iraq. Oh my God. Like, what lessons have you learned? How is it that you value human life? Like, look, this country, right, it tries to portray itself, like those people in power in particular. So I see portray itself.
Right, there's a call.
Okay, that's a call.
Go for it, Kalam.
Assalamu alaikum. Hello, assalamu alaikum, caller. Assalamu alaikum. No.
All right.
Can you hear something? Hello, assalamu alaikum. Hello, caller. Okay, maybe not.
This is like that charity fundraising show, isn't it? Where Kalam was talking about.
Yeah, volume Timothy.
We try to portray the UK as being benevolent to all people. Every life is the same. We see the human life, no matter which part of the world you're from, it's all equal. It's not. Look at before they went into Iraq. The sanctions killed over 1 million children. You know what I mean? And then they went in and shock and awe, that's what they called it. They just bombed everything. And, the total deaths from the Iraq war is something close to 2 million, right? That's 2 million people that have been killed for what? Wait a minute, what did Tony Blair say? Oh yeah, weapons of mass destruction. What a liar. The guy is a war criminal and he's walking around free, and people are giving him platitudes. And these same people who tell you to share, learn lessons from VE Day are the same people going to be shaking his hands. You know what I mean? There is no, as a believer, as a Muslim, we should know right from wrong, and we do not normalize wrong. If someone has committed those atrocities and it's not in our power to do anything other than to boycott them, then that's exactly what we should do. We should not make them feel that it's okay for them to be wandering around and people are going to give them respect. Shame on those Muslims that do that, and shame on those humans that do that.
And to be fair, those people who instigated the war on Iraq and who instigate any act of oppression, there's justice in Akhirah, which we all expect. Allah is the most just. But sometimes you see certain things in this dunya as well. You hear, the people who are at the forefront of pushing oppression and subjugating people and being absolutely nasty, vile people. Does anybody remember Ariel Sharon and what he did with the Palestinian people and the very sad end that he had? I don't, sad in the sense that it was horrible, a man in a vegetative state for years, and then he suddenly, Allah knows best what kind of retribution that was in this dunya. But all I'm saying is, for us personally, we should take lessons from everything, and we should be really, really careful of being oppressors, because the oppressor is the one who actually is at war with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah will give you a little bit of a respite, and then he will come down hard on those who spread oppression and who side with oppression. So it's really, really important, whether we advocate VE Day or not, whether we, whatever our stance is, make sure that you're not standing around the table, sitting around the table with people who are oppressors and who advocate oppression. That's the main thing, I think.
Okay, brothers, do you remember there used to be a nasheed that, it used to be requested by a particular person, and I used to say it sounded like, dead cats being strangled. Cats being strangled. you remember? Kalam, what was that? Shamsu?
Shamsu subhi fi there is nothing.
I hope you're watching. This next nasheed is for you
I
and
love
for
this one.
others. Tell us what you think of this nasheed. We really want to hear and read actually your comments.
Inshallah.
الصبح بدا من طلعته والليل دجى من وفرته الصبح بدا من طلعته والليل دجى من وفرته الله 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 كنز الكرم مولى النعم هادي الأمم لشريعته كنز الكرم مولى النعم هادي الأمم لشريعته الصبح بدا من طلعته والليل دجى من وفرته الله 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 نال الشرف والله عفا عما سلف من أمته نال الشرف والله عفا عما سلف من أمته الصبح بدا من طلعته والليل دجى من وفرته الله 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 سعت الشجر نطق الحجر شق القمر بإشارته سعت الشجر نطق الحجر شق القمر بإشارته الصبح بدا من طلعته والليل دجى من وفرته الله 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 جبريل أتى ليلة إسراء والرب دعاه لحضرته جبريل أتى ليلة إسراء والرب دعاه لحضرته الصبح بدا من طلعته والليل دجى من وفرته الله 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 فمحمدنا هو سيدنا فالعز لنا لإجابته فمحمدنا هو سيدنا فالعز لنا لإجابته الصبح بدا من طلعته والليل دجى من وفرته الله 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 الصبح بدا من طلعته والليل دجى من وفرته الله Allah, 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 Allah,
Assalamu alaikum. Not sure about that, Nasheed. But Timothy James is saying war creates lots of money. Abdul Alim is saying, I agree with Azad Bhai. We shouldn't be celebrating VE, but learn real lessons on what to and what not to do. Khalid Rahman is saying £250 million is spent every year to fuel Islamophobia. They have very evil intent to spend that much. I don't know where you got that figure from. Maybe give us some clarity. Zubaydah is saying 74 days after he was killed, what Azad Bhai was mentioning. And Umar is saying, how can we ignore the inequality and injustices in society, institutions, and structure we live in? And then we've got power of social media and indeed the people. The establishment pumps a narrative that suits their agenda. Maybe he's saying Calambro just sounded like one of them charity dudes. Lol, hello, caller. Well, I am actually a charity dude, but you know, there you go. Well said, Azad Bhai. You must have done a little bash on there. Off topic, Ali Spartan is saying, not sure if you guys have spoken about this since the start of the month, but how much money do you think we have saved on iftaris and eating out or at restaurants this Ramadan? Either we learn from this year or we go over the top next year. I reckon there'll be a lot of over the top spending in restaurants as soon as the lockdown is over. I can't wait to go to Sahara Grill and Nidu's and Spice Hut.
Not Tayyib, yeah?
Carry on reading the messages.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Sorry. We are living in the era of the internet. We need to be active online. Facebook ads cost $1 and can reach 600 people. We should be spreading our beautiful message. Very clever there. And Amara is saying that sounded like the British anthem, the nasheed that was played. And Ali Spartan thought, yeah, Khaled Belrouzi, one of my favorites. And then he went like, oh, wrong nasheed.
I got you, brothers.
That nasheed, look, that nasheed wasn't great because there's not many comments about it coming through. So people are thinking like, right, you know what? Silence is probably the best form of rejection.
Silence is approval.
True that. Guys, if you're watching, remember to share the link. Let's get the numbers of viewers up, inshallah. So all you need to do is share and spread the word, inshallah, so that more and more people can benefit from this amazingly Darun Tashayya Fatayya, absolutely Shutayya show.
You just made another word up.
It's in the dictionary.
You know, that point Ali mentioned there about amount of money people have saved on, you know, extravagant iftaris, buying loads of this and that and the other thing. I think it's actually a really, really good point. And I hope Kalam is wrong. We're, you know, saying people are going to go OTT. I hope they won't. Yes, we need to obviously sustain the economy and we need to help businesses and everything else, but it needs to be done in a measured way. I think what we need, you know, that some of the lessons, just like we were talking about, you know, charity shows on television going OTT, and there needs to be a balance. We need to also create a balance in our spending and our shopping, because look, the extravagance is something that's going to lead to a fall in our community in a big way. So marriages, iftaris, all of these things, they act like as an oppressive expectation on future generations. And I think if we can ease that, Allahu Akbar.
Yeah, because we spoke about the new normality, innit? The new normal. We do want a new normal. We want a new normal that supports local businesses, because you know what? The victims of all of this are the small and medium businesses. If you drive past the high streets that were once buzzing and people coming and going, the marketplace, it's dead. And a lot of these business people, inshallah, they survive. When they reopen, I think we need to go and support them and get them back to a good situation where there's vibrancy in our high streets, because the corporate restaurants, they'll, you know, and the rich, the West End, they'll survive, and if they don't, you know, So what? But we need our local Ali and Co. and Sugar and
Callum,
Spice. Very, very nice.
We have supported them, just before
Bombay
the lockdown.
rice.
Yeah, Callum,
Say it
we
twice.
did support them. We did support them. Just before the lockdown, we do you remember we went and paid quite a lot of money on our shopping and things like that. So we did give them a lot of profit for them to weather this economic downturn that may happen. I think the question is going to be is how many brothers and sisters lost their jobs, they've not got income, or they're from the jobs that they've had, they've been kind of redundant or whatever. Yeah. So the impact of the economics, it'd be interesting to find out how many brothers and sisters are in that kind of situation, and how many of us are like, okay, fine, we've managed to get through. There was no economic difficulty. We didn't lose our jobs and that. We can get back to some sort of new normality, yeah? But I think there's going to be a lot of soul searching after the lockdown to find out what the impact economically people have gained upon themselves as well.
Yeah, but exactly. Simon's saying not the grocery stores that decided to take advantage of the situation. Yeah, we won't forget. We shall not forget. We should do those VE Day slogans, never forgotten, forever in our minds. Yeah, we should do a little campaign, half a berry, 55 quid. Because no, that's how much it was before the 65. That's good price.
That's a good price, bro. That's not what it was. It was much higher. Half a berry was
maybe maybe leg of lamb, £55. I don't know. Hey. But on a serious, they did try to take advantage there. They did try to inflate the prices and make the money that they tried to do that. Musa is saying my husband lost his job because the business had to shut down.
That's actually a good point. First of all, obviously, a lot of people they had to stay at home because of the lockdown and everything else, and a lot of businesses did go bust as well. A lot of people have been laid off, and so there was this furlough thing that was happening, but that's coming to an end. I think that Chancellor Rishi, whatever his name is, right? He announced that I think it's going to come to an end in June or July. I can't remember which month it was. So after that, it's going to cause a lot of problems for people. So I think we gotta understand that the situation that we're in, it is unlike any other situation in living memory of anyone. Okay, we've had crashes and economic downturns and this, that, and the other, but we've never had it like this, where the threat is not something that we can deal with because we don't have a cure for it. So this idea that if some people get it, they won't get it again, and we need to do yes, that's true, but you're still going to get another peak. You're still going to infect more people, and the more people are still going to die. And so there is going to be a huge cost. So there is a balance to be had in all of this. And so we've got to look at, okay, I'm always blaming the government for a lot of things because they deserve to be blamed, especially this Boris Johnson government, which actually did absolutely nothing to stop. Can you imagine? After America, we are the highest in terms of number of deaths from COVID in the world. And America is 10 times bigger than us, right? It's got 250 million.
Not 10, a lot more than 10 times.
Yeah, so can you imagine? So there is a blame. But what is it that we can do? Let's bring back some action that we can do. If next week the government says, okay, you know what, you can go out a little bit more, you can do this a little bit more. Are we going to forget the advice? Are we going to forget the worry? Are we going to forget the fear? Are we going to become blasé about the threat and the risk and everything else, and just go out there because we need to? Like those guys I saw playing football. I was thinking, what it is, because it's a nice sunny day and everything else, and they were bored, they just played football. But imagine, having to tell a story, say one of these guys, did pass away, and I hope it doesn't happen. I pray it does not happen. But imagine they had a child or something, and the child asked the mother, "Oh, how did my father die?" And what's she going to say to him? "Oh, he was bored. He went out, played football, and died from COVID." Can you imagine that? You can't say stories like that. So, what is it that we're going to do? How are we going to be responsible? Are we going to go all out? What do you think we should be doing?
I think what it is. I think there's a story of one of the Ahlul Bayt, right? There was this person in Medina who used to, in the darkness of the night, used to go around delivering bread in the doors of the destitute people. So at Fajr time, they'd open the door and there'd be fresh bread baked for them every single night. And no matter how hard the people of Medina tried to find out who this person was, they couldn't find out who he was or who she was until the death of Sayyidina Zain al-Abidin, Ali ibn Zain al-Abidin. You know, Ali ibn Zain al-Abidin was one of the grandchildren of Ali radiallahu anhu, and he's from the house of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ahlul Bayt. When he passed away, and they had to wash his body, they saw that on one of his shoulders there was a dent. There was like a mark. And then there was no bread being delivered, so they quickly realized that he would carry something to support the bread on his shoulder. And because he had been doing it for so many years, there'd been a permanent mark or an edging on his shoulder. That's when they realized that this is the grandson of the Prophet. So not, you know, the grandson of the Prophet doing this act of sadaqah jariyah, looking out for the people who were in need. I think when we get out of this breakdown, there will be people who will be too proud, who have too much izzah about themselves, right? You know, like they're very proud people, and they won't be able to ask for help, but they'll need help. They won't be able to ask for help, but they'll be in a situation where they will need intervention. And I think we need to just keep our eyes and ears open and really be open with our generosity, with the feeling of brotherhood and community, and really be out there supporting. Because I reckon there's going to be a real difficult time once everybody tries to get back out again. There's no jobs out there. The economy has absolutely shrunk, and you know, there'll be a tough time coming. And I think we just need to be resilient, supportive, and show our love for our Muslim and the non-Muslims in the community, so that together we can get beyond the crisis that's going to come, inshallah. But I think there is going to be tough times coming ahead.
Yeah, I think people, you know, if people come out of this as a better human being, you know, and grateful that, you know, we've gone through a very, very difficult time, and appreciate. I mean, like, you know, we know the death tolls of like going up high over 35 or whatever it is now at the moment, and that will continue, and we don't even know how the death toll is going to be on the second phase as well. So I think if people go through this with the appreciation that, look, you know, we've managed to get through this, what lessons have we learned, and can we now make a difference and have a new approach in the way we live our lives? I think that would be very, very, very important for us. I mean, cycling today, I go down the park and I see loads of things happening, you know, as though the world is same as it is, yeah. Even on the month of Ramadan, you know, I was a little bit embarrassed. I saw people, you know, I could tell they're not fasting, yeah. And in the month of Ramadan, they're still out in the park having a jolly time. You know, I'm questioning myself, and what we should say is like, okay, well, after this phase, are we going to really, really appreciate the blessing Allah has given us to come out of this? Because we could have had that COVID-19. We could have been that number, that stat, okay? I know so many people passed away, and I'm sure after this comes to some sort of end and some normality comes, we'll go through the list of people that we knew in the community that passed away, young, old, you know, people of all different backgrounds and that. At the moment, all it is like stats, 35,000 people passed away. You know, we know loads of people within the Muslim community are passing away because it's affecting the BME community quite a lot, you know.
Hamlets is one of the worst boroughs. Hamlets, Redbridge, Newham, yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Muslims higher, yeah.
And I think a lot of...
That's an important thing to take into account.
And so, a lot of the young people, the young people, seriously, young people need to help other young people understand and appreciate, if we get through this, there should be some kind of gratitude and thanking that, you know, they've got through, but also with some lessons learned, you know, because look, coronavirus, COVID-19, yeah, right? It doesn't matter how much of a superpower you are, what kind of economy you had, it came to everybody, yeah? Everyone's at risk in some form, some shape, and if everybody doesn't do what they need to do, then the most vulnerable and the most affected are going to be affected the most, yeah? And to get rid of this selfish mentality, yeah, because still I think there's loads of people that are oblivious to the seriousness of this, and they're probably just going to go and, okay, we got through it, so what? Whoever's affected is affected. You know, I'm not affected. It doesn't affect us. You know, that feeling. You know, I'll be very sad if that is a normal feeling for a lot of people.
Right, we should do something. Loads of messages.
Yeah, we should loads and loads of messages. Mujibu was saying we should promote the grocery shops that were decent, promote the good and fair shops.
Read the one above that.
Read the one above that. Rishi is a donkey.
Ali
It says
the
Ali Spartan, yeah.
spoken. Go on, carry on.
Yep. Martin, what about Hajj this year being cancelled? So what advice could you give to those families who saved all that money? Could they donate that towards the Muslim Ummah in Kashmir, Syria, India, Myanmar, UK charities like your Darun Show? Yeah, donate it. You know, give us a haircut. Why not? The virus will always mutate, so still at risk of catching a different strand of the virus unless your body has enough antibodies to deal with it. The economy will go into depression. Lots of people will become unemployed. Furlough scheme cannot go on for too long. Karen is saying everyone I know with a business has had a 10,000 payout from the government, that whether it's a cafe or a hair salon, etc. But that payout hasn't translated. A lot of people have applied for it, but they've not received the money. Most businesses haven't. And the fear is the bureaucracy and the red tape will kicked in, and by the time payments have been made, the business have gone under, and the people have lost their assets. So. Maybe that's been the ploy of these Conservative Party government all along. I don't know. Surely the furlough scheme should continue for as long as the lockdown and whilst businesses are being advised to be closed due to not being essential. So that's true. Do you think Saudi economy is at risk due to the Hajj being cancelled? No, because they're holding lots of concerts in Riyadh. They'll be all right. Beyonce will make sure of that. Or
Saudi is only because of the government there. Okay, we have huge love for the place, the Haramain, and the people, but the government. Oh my God, let's not even go there.
Let's not go there. I think it is wise not to go crazy shopping after the lockdown. During lockdown, we have learned that minimalism is enough. The economy will not crash, inshallah. Inshallah, we never know. One of the grocery convenience stores in Bethnal Green claimed to have been granted over 1,000K for the loss of business and as a form of encouragement. Not sure. Recession will definitely happen. Going through lockdown, less spending, less of the rat race. What goes through my mind is if we have increased our spirituality or not. Have we lost our way and become hollow Muslims engrossed in this dunya? Right, I'll read some more later.
With that Eid prayer, can you celebrate Eid?
Yeah, I'm gonna be celebrating Eid. Yeah. Eid prayer is a sunnah muakkada. It's a highly recommended sunnah. According to the Hanafis, it's a wajib, but the rest of the madhab say it's a sunnah muakkada. Of course, we won't be doing the Eid prayer in congregation, but the celebration of Eid, the festivity, the fact that we are no longer fasting, it's part of the Quranic verse. When you finish fasting, make sure you do the takbir of Allah and you enjoy yourself. You eat and you drink and you be festive and merry. It's part of showing your gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course we can.
We should be so thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's showing us our deen in more of its original form than ever before.
Subhanallah.
So like for example, Taraweeh, at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, other than a couple of times or whatever, never used to happen in Jama'ah. People used to do it on their own. And these are things that should reconnect us individually to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before we come and reconnect as an ummah.
Yeah, but the big thing, the big thing here is that, remember, one of the characteristics of our deen is that it is universal and it is applicable in all times, all ages, all circumstances. You will not be in any circumstance, any situation where you cannot worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether you're locked up in Guantanamo Bay, our brothers, they worshipped Allah, they did the dawah, they were spiritually, they mastered their souls. Whether you're free and you're walking around in normal circumstances, or whether you're in lockdown, whether you're in Afghanistan in the caves, or whether you're in Canary Wharf in a bank, wherever you are, whatever situation you are, ubudiyah is still 100% possible. And that's amazing. That is the deen.
On that point, Kalam, on that point, I've got the perfect nasheed lined up. Let's play this nasheed, inshallah, because we're going to finish soon as well. But this is a perfect nasheed from what we've been just saying just now.
كلمتان حبيبتان إلى الرحمن خفيفتان على اللسان ثقيلتان في الميزان. سبحان الله وبحمده، سبحان الله العظيم، سبحان الله وبحمده، سبحان الله العظيم. كلمتان حبيبتان إلى الرحمن، خفيفتان على اللسان، ثقيلتان في الميزان. سبحان الله وبحمده، سبحان الله العظيم، سبحان الله وبحمده، سبحان الله العظيم. كلمتان حبيبتان إلى الرحمن، خفيفتان على اللسان، ثقيلتان في الميزان.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to Easy Talk. MashaAllah, the three of us are still here, and alhamdulillah, we're obviously going through very, very important discussions in that. Yeah, just very quickly on the nasheed. Let's have your takes. What do you think of the nasheed? If you can kind of like give us some messages, let us know if you, number one, understood the nasheed, and if you did, what you think of the nasheed as well. Yeah, brother Kalam, is there any text messages?
Oh yeah, there's plenty of text messages coming in. Abdul Alim is saying, with Hajj getting more and more expensive, save it as you may need it for another year, for next year. And Faith Doyle is saying, Salam, oh, I missed out on 1 hour and a half. You have missed out on the live show, but of course, what with technology and that, you can simply rewind and start from the beginning again.
Okay, just on the hardship and difficulty people are facing economically, or potentially that they're going to face as well. Very quickly, on my block, we've just had a burglary a couple of days ago, 2 days ago. Elderly pensioner's house. Burglars went in, I think, early hours of the morning, and obviously, it's a very, very uncomfortable, very dangerous situation for elderly people, because I know a lot of elderly people are, on their own, they're self-isolating or whatever, and I think, like, with this economic downturn on the impact that's on everyone, the antisocial behavior, the frustration, people thinking that it's okay to attack vulnerable people, and that potentially there's a big risk of that increasing. I don't know if people are experiencing that. What are people's thoughts on that as well? And the other thing I saw on social media, did you see those lads playing cricket, and basically they took the mickey out of the police officer? Who's put your hands up if you saw that one, and if you think what they were doing was like totally out of order, and do you think obviously afterwards?
I think it's really important. Look, there's a few things, right? First is like, of course, burglaries and people taking advantage of the situation and everything else, criminals and crime, that needs to be stamped out, and we need to do our bit to look out for those people that are vulnerable, not just from COVID, but from these kind of things as well. But also, I think there is this, I don't know what to call it, what the term is going to be, but there seems to be this insatiable need for people to share really extreme things that are not normal. Like those guys that did that, those people that play football, these are like, very abnormal thing. And what happens is like, because people sharing things, it just becomes a normalized thing. Like a lot of people, they just think like, oh my God, the UK is so disorganized. You know what? They need martial law. They need the army. These people, they're like this, they're like that. And what happens is the government then uses these things to steal more power and oppress and become repressive. before we know, we're going to be signing, because we're sharing this nonsense, right? Before we know, we're going to be signing away more of our power, our freedoms, rather, to the powers that be at the moment, and in the future.
Well, that's what they're saying. They're saying under the COVID-19 circumstances, they want to stretch those powers, so because they feel that the more control they have, the more powers they have, they will be able to, in the pretext of actually curbing the kind of like the effects of COVID-19. You're totally right. People just got to be a bit more conscious, and the impact that's going to have on taking your rights away. Because I think people are just being neglectful on this because they think something good is happening, but in reality, it's just going to have an effect on everyone. But then afterwards, people are going to moan. Once those laws are enacted, and it's passed, then people are going to moan, and maybe at that time it's going to be too late.
You've got the coronavirus bill that's already gone past with huge draconian laws, right, going through. But it's also a reflection. Look, you know what it is? It's a reflection on us. Like I said before. Like, what is it that we're going to do to make the situation better? Like, say, for argument's sake, we had the best government in the world, like, the most benevolent and everything else. Look, like people hold up New Zealand as a really big example. Like, why you're doing that? Because you don't see the videos that are going out in New Zealand where people are playing cricket, or people are playing rugby, or people are doing burglary. You're not seeing all of that stuff, right? And so there's this mismatch going on. Right? So if we did have the best government and everything else, you're still going to have people that are going to do things that are going to be breaking the law. Like Karen Elliott was saying there, sadly, there is no deterrent. Yes, there is no deterrent, but is that what we're looking for? Are we looking for harsh laws to force us to behave? So that means we're abdicating our responsibilities as a human being, as a mature adult. You know what I mean? Are we children that we need, a headmaster to put us in line with a cane or something like that? What's going on? So we gotta take a lot of that responsibility.
Hello?
Okay, you are silent, so I'm going to carry on. So.
No, I agree. I agree with you 100%. There's nothing else to say there, to be honest.
Now there's Muhammad Imdad is saying, can we give a shout out to Uncle Dabirul Chowdhury, who absolute legend, his role model. He's basically 100 years old, I think, and he's doing a regular walk, and he's raising money for those people that have been affected by COVID-19. We were talking about charity before. This is really, really, these things are really, really good. And I want to make a distinction between this kind of charitable act and people who go out and clap for the NHS and raise money for the NHS even as well. Why? Because this kind of charitable act is to help the awam, the general people and everything else that are there. But the NHS is the responsibility of this government. We've already paid money through our taxes, so that can be looked after. And if the government is not giving the right amount of money and resources over there, but rather spending it on wars and stupid policies and bailing out the banks and things like that, then that's the government that we need to hold to account, not fundraise for them and let the government off scot-free. You know what? It is really, really important to make that distinction. Sorry.
No, absolutely. A God-fearing nation doesn't need cameras, says somebody, says Khalid Rahman. I don't agree. I think even in a God-fearing nation, there's going to be systems in place. There's going to be, because even in a God-fearing nation, there'll be people who are not always God-fearing. There'll be people who are there'll be criminal. Look, in an Islamic state, there were criminals. In the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there was need for people to be detained, and people ran away and all of that stuff. So yeah, but I get your point in terms of, we need to be more God-conscious. If people were a little bit more God-conscious,
it minimizes.
Value-driven.
What Khalifa is saying is about how you build community. So say in our area, if majority people were God-fearing, if majority people were honest, and if majority people did look out for each other, the chance for those petty criminals or whatever type of criminals to blossom would not exist. I mean, if you look at the problems that we have with drugs and all of that kind of stuff, the reason it's rife everywhere is because all of us are turning a blind eye to it. All of us know people who are dealing. All of us know people who are, taking it. all of us know that they're making money, and then what's happening is these people that are making that money, they're using that money for other types of businesses, and then we're like, oh, we have this dementia, we forget about what happened, how they got their money, and then we're like all shaking their hands and giving them respect and all of that kind of stuff. So until we kind of become those kind of look, at the end of the day, we've got to start local. Okay, in our own little area, if we can't build these kind of societies, these kind of communities, then you ain't got a chance, no matter what happens. Like, you can have all the harshest laws in the world, and you're still going to have people taking them.
Khalid Rahman is saying again, and he says this quite frequently, I got to say, I've noticed, we got to get organized. Azad Bhai, we got to get organized, yeah? It's true, we do, we have to. And, as a collective body, we need to organize ourselves. We need to, fall into a structure and become organized. Absolutely true. Absolutely. Ali saying, I was speaking about Islam and trying to give dawah to a colleague of mine the other day, and I wish I would have heard that explanation before that myself gave about the deen and adjusting and its applicability, universality. They specifically asked how and why we believe the Quran, Islam and its teachings are now enough for us until the end of times. So that explanation was on point according to Ali, and he's also saying, clap on a Thursday, have a Barbie on a Friday.
Isn't it?
Absolutely.
That's the mentality, brothers and sisters. That's the mentality, but it's not true. Majority of the people, look, there are always going to be exceptions. There are always going to be, people doing it. But majority, I'm proud to say, mashallah. Even today, I had to go out shopping today and everything else. I had to go to a grocery store, and I also went Tesco's. Alhamdulillah, it was actually quiet. I didn't have to queue up at the Tesco to get in or to pay. Actually, there's like. And the grocery store was also empty. So
it depends what time you go, really.
I have to go before. Like, I think it starts getting busier from the afternoon onwards.
Yeah,
so
midday.
I just want to draw us back to the point about the CCTV camera, like more laws and rules coming in and that. Yeah, it just reminded me of like many years ago. We were looking at CCTV camera, the theory behind CCTV camera and monitoring and all that kind of stuff. And the primary function of the CCTV, according to some of the theorists, was self-regulation. Now, the question is, what is self-regulation? Self-regulation, when individual, regulates themselves. Why is the need for self-regulation? It's because as time, the Western society has shifted away from godliness, taqwa-based, to more non-godliness, and henceforth there's a new vacuum, and that vacuum, there was no God no more. So therefore, what kind of means and methods could be utilized in order to kind of like get people to self-regulate? So the concept of the network society, CCTV camera, and also some of the early prisons in Europe were actually created in such a way that it created an illusion where you had the officers at the top and all the cells at the bottom. The officers could see into every single cell, but the inmates could not see the officer at the top. But they knew that someone was watching them. So that fear of watching, that kind of created that consciousness of self-regulation, yeah? Now, bringing it back to taqwa, now, as Muslims, if we had taqwa, we don't really need a CCTV camera because, taqwa is what's going to govern us, it's going to regulate us. But when we don't have that taqwa and you have a society that is secular and it needs other means of controlling, it's always going to be pushed for those kind of rules, those kind of regulation, because their whole framework is within a non-God conscious kind of like environment. Now, for example, in Ramadan, we're supposed to be fasting. I went around, did my exercise cycling, and I see Muslim people, not adhering to the fast. So people developing their own taqwa is the fundamental principle that we should be training ourselves in Ramadan. And it also has an implication because, as an individual, if we have taqwa, why do I need to be regulated for it? I'm not going to go out there and steal. And it doesn't even matter if the CC camera is watching me, because for me, Allah is watching me. And therefore that consciousness is more powerful. And where that consciousness doesn't exist, those rules will come in because people just agree to them.
True.
Yeah.
True.
No, definitely. Jazakallah khair for that. I think we're naturally coming to the end of the program, and
for those kind of rules, those kind of regulation, because
Ooh.
their whole framework
What's happening? I just heard Abdul again.
Yeah. The point was so important that he's going to repeat it.
So good, yeah. He needed to repeat it. Apologies.
Yeah.
I was going to say we come to an end. Callum, just do the last. If there's any more messages, if not,
There aren't. And I can't see any.
okay. So I think we've talked about many different things today. I think for me, maybe the main takeaway is a couple of things. I think one is we mentally need to prepare ourselves. We're in Ramadan, alhamdulillah, it's a blessed month, so we're busy with ibadah and fasting, and there is a focus, and it's sharp, and that's, mashallah, it's really good. But after Ramadan, it's gonna come off, and we're gonna be relaxed a little bit, but the lockdown is still gonna be in place. So I think, the sensible kind of things that we need to do, we need to start thinking about them. Look, we should not be people who just act on whims. Like, let's think things through. Even have a sit down with your family and have a discussion. A lot of brothers and sisters I know, what they try to do is have like regular online meetings, Zoom meetings with their family, because they're not meeting like they used to before. So have a little discussion. Have a conversation and say, okay, look, what, after Ramadan, how are we going to handle this? What is your plan? What is my plan? And hear each other's plan, and then you find a sensible way out from that. Otherwise, what would happen is you'll be unprepared, and you'll just be going from pillar to post. Don't rely on what the government lines are and everything else. Use your brains as well a little bit here, okay? If you still have people that are vulnerable and everything else, you going out there and catching it and bringing it home isn't going to help anyone, because that was the reason you didn't go out in the first place, right? So what would have changed? Just because the government says you can go out, has it changed? No, it hasn't changed. So we've got to be really, really sensible. So I would say, brothers and sisters, like, use this time. It doesn't have to be right this week or next week or whatever, but just have a think about it and start planning. Maybe start talking about it in your own immediate family, and then expand it out and have a plan, and move forward collectively in a way that is A, safe for all of us, and B, that's going to be beneficial in the long term, because we will, inshallah, come out of this, but we need to try to come out of this with many of our fellow members of the community, not just be selfish and look out for ourselves.
I agree.
A quick point also, part of that assessment, I mean, with families, please make an assessment who your vulnerable family members are as well, how many of your elderly members you've got, because quickly going and visiting all the elderly people is just going to quickly transmit the virus to them as well. So I think you've got to be very, very conscious of that. Have a little plan for that, and take it seriously, because I think in that gap, a lot of people are going to go out. The government's even going to propose not to use like to take your car and things like that, or use London transport. They're even going to be proposing to cycle to work to kind of minimize it, because they're going to allow people to go to work, but they also want to kind of like contain it as much as possible, because the tube stations are places where you're potentially going to get it. Last thing I want to say before I finish off, Jazakallah to Brother Abu Kalam for reminding me of a very, very important book. I kind of picked it up, Quran Murad's book, on the early hours. Started reading it, and you know what? I'm loving it. Believe me, I'm promoting it to everyone, and I've gone through 2 or 3 chapters now, and I'm going to do another two chapters tonight as well.
Like, every time you read a chapter, take some key points that you've taken out of it, and then you should post that on your.
You know what? The first chapter talks about the vision. Okay, it was just unbelievable. Right, and it gives the verses. And like what I've seen with a lot of us is like we've read a lot of hadith, and we haven't. We've moved away from quoting the Quranic verses and the interpretation of the Quranic verses and that. But when I started reading those verses again, it chronologically, it just logically makes sense, that. So well done to Brother Abu Kalam for reminding us on that. And if there's any other good books we can read, because in this lockdown, you've got a lot of time, and time could be dangerous for people here, right? And I think people need to put that into good use, inshallah. So I'm doing my best to do my reading, and especially focusing on the English translation as best as I can. And also for fitness, I do my cycling. So if anyone wants to join, with the safety distance of 2 meters, you want to join cycling, then that's possible. It's better than running. Yeah, you do need to get your exercises in. Otherwise, you're just going to be cooped up. Your body's going to like overflame and kind of like, you know, you're going to feel uncomfortable. And even if the lockdown finishes, you're going to be a bit poorly because you do need. There's a lot of people not exercising. I mean, you know, that's another big issue in our community, that people.
But they never used to exercise before, bro. So it's the same.
Yeah. So I hope that more people are exercising in your own ways, whichever way you can find it convenient to exercise. I know it's difficult, but yeah, you know, stay safe and maintain that distance and keep on reading, really.
Absolutely. Somebody was asking, can you give the name of the book out? And Ali Spartan has done that. It's In the Early Hours by Ustad Quram Murad. My kind of takeaway from fantastic show. I enjoyed this show actually. My takeaway is, look, there's be charitable. Being charitable and giving charity will never make you poorer. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in an authentic hadith that, you know, giving charity does not depreciate your wealth. Allah will return that wealth in different ways, in a different manner. So don't fear poverty when you're giving charity. It is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they used to describe him like a thunderous wind. You know, he was very generous all of the time, but in Ramadan he was extra generous, like a thunderous wind. So give and let your charity spread across the different causes, the different charities, the different places and themes. Do it, please. Don't hesitate in doing that. Be with the Quran. These are the last. Somebody once said to me that, you know, you welcome Ramadan and you're entering into Ramadan, but as soon as you hit day 15, you're leaving Ramadan. Think about that for a few minutes. We're now actually on the road of leaving Ramadan. It's going away from us. We were entering it. We got to the midpoint. Now it's just going to dwindle and go down. You know, so just take advantage of that and try to do your best. Be with the Quran. You know, read the Quran, study it, memorize it, but just be with the Quran. If you haven't increased your Quranic recitations and your engagement with the Quran, shame on you. You know, but don't worry about it. It's a new day, a new start. Just start with the Quran now and build that relationship. Every letter gets you 10 reward on a good day. But these are better days. These are the days of Ramadan. So the reward for each letter is increased manyfold times. So be with the Quran. And the last thing I wanted to say about all of this is that you know, people look for Laylatul Qadr. Laylatul Qadr is around the corner, and then people look for it. And, you know, sometimes we try to, you know, worship Allah with more eagerness and keenness in the odd nights, and sometimes we fail. But there are a lot of automated payment platforms out there. The Muslim Aid has one, other charities have one. If you're gonna give your zakat, then use one of these automated payment systems so that you definitely spread the donation throughout the last 10 days, and you can secure the reward of giving on the day of on the night of Laylatul Qadr. So do all of those things, but at the end of the day, I would urge everybody just to take some moments between you and Allah. You know, just take a few moments in the night between you and Allah. Just sit there and speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we don't do that enough. We do not communicate with Allah enough. We don't tell him how we're feeling, tell him how much we love him, tell him how much we need him, tell him how much he means to us. And we should do that. Ya Allah, we love you. Ya Allah, we need you. Ya Allah, help us. Ya Allah, don't let us fail. All of those things, that communication, that munajat with Allah, you will see the fruits of it really sooner rather than later. And I think if we can do that and really build ourselves up for in Ramadan and gain some spirituality in this month, then hopefully when we're out of Ramadan, we'll be able to carry some of these things throughout our year and throughout the days, so that we can be resilient and strong. Because I think, like, you know, when Shaitan is out again, he's going to be after us, because in lockdown, we've not been able to be out there in the dunya. But as soon as we get out there, it's going to be tough. So we just need to build ourselves up, I reckon, and just do those few simple things. And remember, I think Azad mentioned this last show, that start with your fara'id. Don't go crazy over Taraweeh and Tahajjud and all these sunnah stuff if you're not doing your fard. Start on your fard and build yourself up based on those pillars, which are the fards, inshallah.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair. You know what? Just before I end, I'm going to read out this final message from Musa, who actually epitomizes what Kalam was just saying. In terms of charity, basically, since we lost our main income, we continue to give charity. And my husband was worried about our income as we're expecting. And I was bugging him for KFC. And eventually he gave in. And lo and behold, we had free KFC. They gave us a refund, LOL, Sadaqah, you never lose out. This is the thing. Risk is written for us. Okay, risk is written for us. So, of course, I understand the anxiety if you're unemployed and everything else. And Allah does not burden any soul more than it can bear. It's important to understand that. But never, even if you can't give anything, have the intention that I want to give. Ya Allah, give me more so that I can give more. This should be our mindset. So, brothers and sisters, on that note, we're going to end this Darun show. We're going to be back on Sunday, and Sunday is a very important day in Ramadan. I hope you know, and we're going to be talking about it. So brush up on the 17th of Ramadan. Assalamu alaikum from me.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.